Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Copycat Ram. This is Ram and today I have brought another video for you. Right now on the screen you can see that here I have created a very basic design of drag and drop where user will be able to drag and drop of files, or if he wants he can use the upload button. So clicking on the upload button, a file explorer will be opened from where user will be able to select the files. Once the files get selected, we will print the name of the files that user have selected, and clicking on the cross button we will make a function from clicking on which we will be able to remove the files we want to remove. So without any further delay, let us begin. So let us start with the upload button. So what will happen if user click on the upload button? So clicking on the upload button, we are going to open a file explorer from which user will be able to select the files that he want to upload. So this is going to be similar functions like input type file. If you remember input type file, clicking on the browse button, by default a file explorer gets open. The same thing is going to be used over here. Behind the scene, input type file is going to work for the upload button. So let me here create input type file element. So input type file and this. So clicking on the input type file, what it does, it opens the file wizards from where we can select the items. Now instead of the clicking on the choose file, we need to click on the upload button. So what I am going to do, on clicking on the upload button, I am going to fire out the input type file element. So how we can do this? First of all, we need to create a function that is going to be fired on the click of the upload button. So on click. So what we are going to do within this function? In this function we are going to write a logic which will trigger out the input type file element. So for that we need to take the reference of the input type file. So here I am going to create a reference that I am going to use for input type file element, and I am going to attach this to the input element. So ref equal to this. So what we need to do next? On the clicking on the button, we need to fire out this function, and this function is going to trigger out the input type file. So here what I am going to do, here I am going to use the input file ref dot current dot click. That means whenever this function is going to be called, this function is going to trigger out the click event on this input file ref, and this input file ref is attached to the input type file. So basically clicking on this we are going to trigger out this. So let me save and check whether it is working or not. Now if I click on the upload button, now you can see that we have opened the file explorer wizards. So it is working like as we wished. So next thing is that here I want to set some limitation that I want only users allowed to select images. So here I am going to use the accept attribute, and here I am going to write the extension of the file that I want to allow the user to select. So here it's going to be png, jpg, dot jpeg. Only these three formats going to be allowed by user to be selected. As well as here I am going to user allowed to select multiple files at a time. So here I am going to use the attribute multiple. Now if I save and if I click on the upload button, right now within the explorer you can see that only we are able to see jpg, png, only this kind of files that we are already mentioned inside the accept attribute. As well as if I click on the control button, then we are here able to select multiple images. So this function is also allowing us to select multiple images at a time. Now the next thing is that if I select the images, then what will happen? So we need to read out the files that has been selected. So for this So basically here what we have done, we have called behind the scene input type file element. So the items that we are going to select within the wizards is going to be used by the input type file. So here I am going to call a function on the selection of the file, and this function is going to be attached to the input type file element. So here on change I am going to initiate a function. So this function is going to be known as on selection of file. Now what this function will do, this function will return us all the event that has been attached to the input type file element. So here I am going to receive the event. Now this event have the all the data that we need to that we require. So this is going to return us files equal to event dot target dot files. So this files object within the target is a kind of array. So it's going us return whole of the array, that is the selected files that we are going to select from the wizards. So let us console and see what is going to print inside the console. The console log files. Now if I save here, let me open the console. Now if I click on the upload button, we have the wizards, and now if I select 3 images and now if I click on the open, now inside the console we can see that we have 3 files that we have selected, that is the BNR2, dummy images gray, and dummy title card images. So basically we have selected 3 images, and here we have the 3 images name inside these functions, and this is the files const that returning us from the event properties. Now the next thing is that we need to print these name of the files over here on the UI. So for that, again here I'm going to create a states variable that going to hold the data of the files that we have uploaded, and then we are going to map out that state const to print the name of the files. So here I'm going to create a states that is going to be called file selected, and that is going to be by default a blank array. Now as we have the files as array, but this is a kind of a file list array. So this is a type of array but not an actual array. If you want to try to run map or for each function, then we will be unable to implement on this. So we have the data inside this state, we are going to here run a loop within which we will create a array, and then we are going to push it out inside the file selected use states. So here what we are going to do, here I am going to run for loop. So var I equal to 0 if I is less than files dot length, then I is going to be plus plus. So we are going to run the loop till we have completed all items has been inside the file list array. Okay, so here what we are going to do, here I am going to take a variable that is file array equal to blank array, and we are going to push out each item inside the files array. So files array dot push files, and at the end what we are going to do, we are going to set files selected as files array. Okay, Now once we have the set the file selected, now next we need to do, if it have data, then we need to print out the name of the file that we have inside the state. So let us here run a map. So what we are going to do here, file selected dot map. So now if I save, now let us check whether we are able to print the name of the item that we have selected. Now if I click on the upload button, now we have the, so right now we have the name of the items over here we have printed. Now let me select once again. So here, this time we are going to select 2 images. Now you can see that the name of the items has been printed over here. Now the next thing is that clicking on the X, we are going to remove the item that we have selected or the item on which we have clicked. So let us implement the remove item function. So this is going to be type of button, and on click we are going to call a function. So this is going to be remove item. Now let us create the function. So what is going to be logic behind the removing an item? So basically to remove the item, I am going to use the index of the item. So here we have index. So what I am going to do, on clicking of the item, here I am going to pass out the index of that item. So here is going to be index. Now based on this index, I am going to filter out. If the index match, then I will remove, or I will filter out that items, and I will return others item that has not matched. So for that, again here I am going to set file selected, and that is going to return us the prev item. So here I am going to hold this in the prev. Now next thing is that here we need to set filter. So const filtered item equal to prev dot filter. So here is going to be item, and next thing is going to be index. So what I need to do, I need to filter out by the base of the index. Now if index is not equal to item index, so let me change this to the item index. So whenever we are going to run the filter function returns the item as well as the index from the filter function. So based on this function's index, I am going to filter out the item index that we are receiving from the remove item function. So at the end we are going to return an array except the index that has been matched. So at the end again we are going to return filtered items over here. Okay, so let us save. Now let me refresh it, and let's once again choose the file. So if I click on the button, now let me select 2 images, open. Now we have 2 images selected. Now let us suppose that I want to remove this second image. So now if I click on the second image, now we can see that we have successfully removed that item. So next thing is that what we are going to do this with the input type file, that element has been rendered on the screen. So to hide this there is a simple trick. Just we need to use the style attribute, and we are going to set display none. So behind the scene we are using the input type file, but has been hidden from the basic users. So now let me refresh again and let us see whether the function is still working or not. Now I have refreshed it. Now if I click on the upload button, now again we have these wizards from where we can select the images. Now let me select 3 images. Now if I click on the open, now we have the 3 images that we have selected. Now let us suppose that I want to remove the second item. Now if as soon as I click on the second items, we have successfully removed the item. So till now we have completed the upload button functionality. The next video, now in the next video I am going to show you that how you can implement the drag and drop of the items things over here. So stay tuned. Do not forget to subscribe to my video, and if you have any question, please ping down in the comment. I will try to explain each and everything in my next video. Thank you for watching.